I'm sure you've seen the marketing for the BMO Eclipse Visa Infinite. It sounds like such an amazing deal when you first look at it. I mean, you get 5x points on groceries, 5x on dining out, and you get $50 credit for just having the card. So, of course, to some, it feels like an absolute no-brainer card that pays for itself to some extent. As I always advise you, before you hit apply, you should actually do the math, right? Because, that's the problem with points. They're different for Amex, they're different for PC Optimum, different for BMO. When you look at the value of those points, math doesn't actually look that amazing. Their whole selling point of 5x points, it all of a sudden doesn't look nearly as impressive. Today, I'm gonna show you why this card is, I would say, a bit of a trap to your daily spending, as well as which card you should be keeping in your wallet instead. So today we're going to look at the daily spending of BMO Eclipse, as well as see if this card is actually worth keeping it in your wallet over long term. So let's start with the obvious point. And I mean, I've been there too. Looking at this 5x for the dining category and the groceries category seems like, okay, why am I getting only 1-2% with my current credit card? So let's start with the main reason people look at this. And I was there as well, the multipliers. So BMO advertises you get 5x points on groceries, dining, gas, and transit. And you're like, oh my goodness, this is amazing because, there's Amex Cobalt that everyone praises. This is exactly like the Amex Cobalt, but I can use it at more places. And by the way, I made a video on Amex Cobalt. If you're interested in that card, you can check it out. But back to the topic. With Amex Cobalt, for example, the 5x multiplier is pretty close to 5% return. The MR points you can transfer to Aeroplan, you can transfer it to different airlines, and sometimes there are promos where you can actually get a better exchange rate and end up with more than 5% back. And it seems like BMO is offering exactly the same thing, but it's not, unfortunately, the case. Let me explain. The reason is very simple. BMO Rewards has different points valuation. Again, not all points are created equal. If you redeem your points for travel, for example, you need to redeem 150 points to earn a single dollar in value. That means that every point is not worth $1, it's actually only worth 67 cents. So when you're earning 5x the points at grocery store, dining, gas stations, your actual return is only 3.3%. And while it's actually pretty good still, it doesn't necessarily justify the annual fee compared to a lot of free cards out, whether it's the Tangerine World Elite MasterCard that gives you 2% or Rogers World Elite that at times can give you as much as 3%. With no annual fee. And of course, I made videos on both of those cards. You can check them out on my channel as well. And, as I mentioned, 3.3% return is actually not bad, depending on how much you spend. But BMO is unfortunately famous for its spending limit. So this is something you have to always keep in mind as well. For groceries and dining, for example, the yearly limit for the 5x multiplier is capped at $6,000. So that works out to just round about $500 a month on food. If you have a family, you live with your partner, or you go out a couple times, you're going to hit that cap pretty quickly. And of course, after you hit the limit, instead of going to something as, trivial as 1% cashback, it actually only gives you 1 point back, which ends up being only 0.67%, which is one of the worst returns out there. Seriously, it mathematically just does not make any sense. And of course, to make this card a little bit more attractive, the BMO also includes the $50 annual lifestyle credit. They pitch it as the little credit that you can spend on anything you want, essentially. But let's look at the actual cost. So the card is actually not that expensive now that everyone's been raising prices at $120 a year. And honestly, BMO does waive the fee usually for the first year, so you can try it out for a year, see for yourself, and see if it actually makes sense. But then let's say the year 2, with this $50 credit, you still have to pay $70 a year for the card. And while, as I mentioned, the return is actually 3.3%. So if you multiply 6,000 by 3.3, you get around about $198, or let's say $200. So that makes it somewhat decent, actually. Because again, $198 minus $70, and you're stuck with $128 that you've made with this 5x points. But again, $128 for a premium card, or for how much the premium card is paying you, doesn't actually sound like a lot, does it? And then of course there's a headache of figuring out what card you need to use after you hit the $6,000 a year limit on groceries, because once again, with these grocery prices and food at the restaurants when dining out, that cap is they've got to increase it for sure. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. Of course, the first year free is nice, but I'm not so certain. And to summarize this, who is this card actually for? I am kind of in a pickle here. Again, I hardly ever give this kind of verdicts, but very few people, like almost nobody. I mean, again, if you're a single person, know that you cannot use this card at Costco. It might not always go through at Walmart, as it not always designated as a grocery store. Sometimes it's a warehouse and it doesn't give you that 5x return. But yeah, I mean, $6,000 cap is kind of a big limit. So once again, if you're a single person, sometimes going out, sometimes dining out, it potentially makes sense for you. But again, if you want to maximize your rewards on food and dining, Amex Cobalt, of course, they have increased the price a little bit recently. I think it's about $192 a year now. But it actually gives you a proper 5% return on a lot of your grocery hauls and dining out. Amex membership rewards, you can actually move them to Aeroplan, you can move them to KLM, depending on where you fly. It's actually a really nice program, which, depending on, sometimes they have cool promotions, and depending on how you convert your money, it's actually possible for you to get a nice little airfare every once in a while out of it. And while there are pros and cons to both, I think Cobalt kind of comes out ahead in almost all cases here. And look, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can think of something that I'm missing here with the BMO Eclipse. So yeah, please leave your thoughts down in the comments below. But once again, I haven't actually seen a lot of people with BMO Eclipse, but I'm sure they get a lot of people with this 5x multiplier. As I said, if you shop at Loblaws or where Amex isn't accepted, it makes sense to potentially have a different alternative, as well as Costco. But in my opinion, even if you shop at Loblaws, at Superstore, there are still better options out there for your cashback cards if you completely scrap Amex from the floor. I think even Rogers World Elite, if you're a Rogers customer, can be as much as 2-3% cashback for, again, a no annual fee card. So just saying. And once again, I think they have some nice travel options. But again, if you want a dedicated travel card, BMO Eclipse is not really great for that. They still charge you foreign exchange fees. And I think their insurance is still worse than, for example, Scotiabank Passport Visa Infinite or even Rogers World Elite MasterCard. It's surprisingly good for a no annual fee card. But yeah, as I said, BMO Eclipse Visa Infinite looks really great on their website and when you kind of at first glance. But once you start doing the math, you're like, okay, this card is actually not that amazing. But let me know if I'm missing something, as I said, and let me know what you currently use in your day-to-day life. And if you also think this point system is ridiculous, it doesn't really make sense. It's different for RBC, it's different for BMO, for PC, Amex, and a bunch of other cards. Like, can we just have cash back on all of them? That would be so amazing. Well, it's probably a pipe dream, but anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.